My name's Kelly Snavely, and I'm the owner and operator of Booch Tea. I started the company a couple years ago. It's really grown by word of mouth. I started making kombucha for my family about 5 years ago, keeping my family healthy. I've always been interested in health and nutrition, and my degree is actually health and exercise science. And so I've just always loved reading about health and nutrition. Kombucha originated in Russia and Asia a couple thousand years ago. Kombucha is an alive tea, and the culture that goes in the sweet tea it's a combination of yeast and bacteria. And what it does is it turns the sweet tea into a slightly effervescent, kind of a tart cider-like beverage once it's gone through the fermentation process. And it's got a lot of probiotics, antioxidants, B vitamins. It's just a really healthy elixir once the fermentation has completed. Kind of like what's in yogurt. It's good for digestion, lines your intestines, so it helps you be able to absorb the nutrients in your food and digest it properly. The culture feeds on the tea, the tannins in the tea, so once all the fermentation has completed, there's not much caffeine left in the kombucha tea, and it also feeds on the sugar in the tea, so it's no longer a sweet tea mixture anymore. When I make Booch, I use a little bit larger pot to make it at home. This would be the pot that you would want to use. You want to just bring a quart of water to a boil, purified water. Once the water comes to a boil, you'll put in 1 cup of organic sugar. And you always want to use organic sugar. Don't want to use honey or agave nectar, because that can counteract the good bacteria in your culture and work against it. So you dissolve the sugar in your boiling water, and then you'll add 4 tea bags. You can use black tea or green tea. I always use black tea just because I feel like it gives it a more full flavor in your tea, and just give it a little bit of a stir, and then just let it sit covered until it's cool. And that might be just a couple hours or overnight. You always want to keep it covered to keep any kind of insects or dust out of your tea. And you just let it sit and steep. So once the tea has cooled, you'll remove the lid and just scoop out your tea bags and just set those aside. And you'll pour your cooled tea into the fermenting jar. And then you'll want to take another 2 quarts of purified water and add that to your fermenting jar. All right. So now you've got your cooled tea in your fermenting jar, and you'll need your culture of bacteria and yeast. The correct term is a SCOBY, which is a symbiotic colony of bacteria and yeast. Put that into your cooled sweet tea mixture, and then you'll also need a cup of already fermented tea, kombucha tea, and add a cup to your fermenting jar. And the culture, it looks like a flat, rubbery pancake that's kind of a cream color. And you always want to put a cover on the top. You don't want to put a lid on it because it does need oxygen to ferment. So just take some kind of cloth with a tight weave and secure it with a rubber band. You don't want to use cheesecloth because the weave is too large and it'll allow gnats and dust to get in. So just something with a tight weave. The longer you let it ferment, the less sugar is in your tea after it's finished fermenting. So it is good to let it go about 12 to 14 days. Okay. So once your kombucha tea is to your liking, you'll remove the cover, and with a clean hand, you'll remove your culture and put it on a clean plate. And then you're ready to strain your fermented tea. And this cloth is actually a hops bag. I got it from All Seasons Wine and Beer Brewing store. And I just cut a piece. I found that this is the best material to strain kombucha through. So you just put it in your strainer and you're ready to strain your tea. And this batch will actually yield 3 quarts. So you'll be able to fill a half-gallon jar, and then you'll have a little bit left. You can fill a smaller bottle, or just drink a glass right away. You will want to keep a cup of your fermented tea for your next batch, and you'll just put the cup of fermented tea back in your fermenting jar with your culture, and you're ready to start another batch. So this is the half-gallon size, and I also have 12-ounce size. I've got the peach, raspberry, ginger, and original. We do plan on expanding and being in other cities in Tennessee, as well as Nashville and Murfreesboro. All the labels are hand applied, and each lid is put on by hand and safety sealed, and my husband helps me with the labels, so it really is a family business. My 5-year-old daughter, when she was about 2, I would put kombucha in her sippy cup, and she couldn't say kombucha, and so she would just say Booch. And so my husband and I just started saying Booch, and the name stuck. And then one day I took her sippy cup away from her thinking she was done, and she said, "My Booch." And I thought, I'm going to get that website. So it's mybooch.com. My daughter may take over the business one day.